Heartwarming note from 7-year-old Waitress exposes life-changing truth to Undercover Millionaire. In a small diner that felt like a page torn from a storybook of Americana, 7-year-old Emma danced between tables, her laughter bubbling like the coffee she poured. With her hair in pigtails and a smile that could warm the coldest heart, she effortlessly juggled the responsibility of serving breakfast while helping out her mother, who worked tirelessly in the kitchen. Emma knew the regulars by name: the retired veterans, the exhausted parents, the quirky artists. They roared with laughter, shared stories, and filled the diner with a comforting buzz, creating a sense of family that wrapped around Emma and her mother like a cozy blanket. Everything changed the day James walked into the diner. An undercover millionaire, he was searching for meaning amid his hollow wealth. As he stepped through the door, the aroma of bacon and fresh coffee wrapped around him, a scent he hadn't realized he'd been missing. When Emma came to his table with a bright, welcoming grin, he couldn't help but feel a spark of joy. In her, he saw a light he had long forgotten. "What's the best thing on the menu?" he asked, half smirking at the child who seemed so full of life. "Everything," she exclaimed, eyes wide and joyful. "But the pancakes are the best. My mom says they're fluffy like clouds." James chuckled, the weight of his world lifting for a moment. She took his order, but not before sliding a small colorful note into the check, her tiny fingers shaking slightly. It read, "Dreams are like pancakes. If you flip them right, they come out perfect." Over time, their conversations blossomed. With every visit, James found more of her notes, each one filled with heart, dreams, and the trials she faced. One note struck him particularly hard: "Some days are tough, but we keep smiling. That's what family is for." Those words echoed in his mind, making him question the emptiness of his opulent lifestyle. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As James became invested in Emma's world, he thought he could help by offering funds to revitalize the diner, thinking it could be a shining beacon in a town that needed hope. But instead of gratitude, the announcement created ripples of resentment among the locals. The community, once tied together in mutual struggle, suddenly splintered, caught between pride and the allure of easy money. One day, Emma handed him a note that stilled his heart: "We don't need riches, we need connection. That's how we survive." Her words cut deeper than any knife. As he wrestled with guilt, he realized his approach was all wrong. The diner wasn't just a business, it was a lifeline. Time froze in that bustling diner, the air thick with tension and possibility. Emma looked up at him, and for a moment, their eyes locked, the innocence of a child and the weight of a man lost in privilege. He felt a yearning that he hadn't touched in years. Would he use his resources to genuinely connect, or would his well-intentioned actions be seen as an outsider's mistake? Just then, the bell over the door jingled, and more patrons entered, blissfully unaware of the transformative journey unfolding within these walls. Emma's hope and James's introspection hung in the air like the scent of fresh pancakes, rich, inviting, and filled with promise as the stage was set for a life-altering journey. James sat at his usual booth, the familiarity of the diner a comfort and a challenge at once. The chatter of patrons and the clanking of dishes felt like home, yet Emma's note echoed louder in his mind. "We don't need riches, we need connection." He rubbed the small piece of paper between his fingers, contemplating how to bridge the gap that his money had inadvertently created. Watching Emma flit from table to table, her energy seemed boundless. She was more than just a waitress, she was the heartbeat of the diner. Yet, as he looked around, he noticed a chilling change in the atmosphere. Some regulars exchanged glances, their smiles fading as they whispered behind cupped hands. James understood restraint, but he never anticipated that his attempt to bring hope could fracture what he had once admired. Feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on him, he decided it was time to redefine his intentions. He pushed the remnants of his breakfast aside and signaled for Emma. She approached eagerly, her eyes sparkling with excitement, as if every moment was a chance for magic. "Emma, He began, carefully searching for the right words. I want to make things better for this diner, but I think I've gone about it the wrong way. I want to help the people here, not just throw money at a problem. Emma's brows knitted together in thought. What do you mean? I think the diner needs heart more than money, he replied. Maybe we can organize some events, get people involved, and bring everyone closer together. Her face lit up, illuminating the shadow of uncertainty. Like a pancake party? Everyone loves pancakes. James chuckled, the tension beginning to lift. Exactly. And maybe we can have storytelling nights or an art fair, something to bring the community together. Wow. That would be awesome. We could have everyone write notes like mine. She exclaimed, bouncing on her feet. Feeling an unexpected jolt of energy, James shifted in his seat. Yes. We can invite people to share their dreams and have fun. As the two brainstormed ideas, a subtle change swept through the diner. Patrons who had once sat in discontent began to lean in, hearing the lively exchange between James and Emma. They started to join in, offering their own suggestions, laughter spilling forth like a bubbling pot on the stove. James's heart swelled. This was how community was made, one connection at a time. However, not everyone was on board. In one corner, a grizzled veteran who'd been a regular for decades stared disapprovingly. Why should we trust you now? You could just walk away, leaving us with nothing. James met the veteran's gaze, a knot tightening in his stomach. The man's words struck a chord, and he realized that trust couldn't be bought, it had to be earned. I don't want to be just the guy with money, he said, voice steady. I want to be part of this community, to learn, to share, and to support all of you. Will you give me that chance? The silence that followed was thick, anticipation hanging in the air. Emma glanced from James to the veteran, her small hand reaching out. As murmurs filled the room, James felt hope flicker like the diner's neon sign. Could this be the start of something genuine? Just as he felt momentum building, doubt crept back in. Were his intentions enough to win over a skeptical community? The weight of uncertainty hung between them, and James realized that this was only the beginning of a long road, a road that would test not just his resolve but the willingness of everyone involved to embrace change. What would it take to turn that skepticism into a shared vision? As voices mingled and laughter returned, one lingering question remained firmly in his mind. Could a few colorful notes and a child's dream truly reunite a fractured community? The room buzzed with tension, but James could feel a shift, like the calm before a storm. He glanced at Emma, her bright eyes reflecting hope. The veteran's disapproval was thick, but the rest of the diner seemed to warm to the idea, curiosity replacing their initial skepticism. Let us talk it out, a middle-aged man called from the far booth. He was a local farmer, his hands worn but his voice resonant. You're right, James. We could use something fun. But we need to know you're in this for the long run. James nodded, grateful for the opening. I promise, I want this to be about all of us. Let us start with a pancake party next Saturday. It'll be a potluck. Everyone can bring their favorite dish, and we'll share stories too. It'll be a day for laughter, for knowing each other better. Nods began to ripple among the crowd. The grizzled veteran crossed his arms, still skeptical. And how do we know you'll stick around after that? I guess that's up to you to keep me honest, he replied, meeting the man's gaze. I want to earn your trust. I'll be here every step of the way. The veteran's hardened expression softened, and he looked around to gauge the reactions of others. Several faces lit up with enthusiasm. Okay, I'll give you that, he said slowly. But if this goes south then I'll take the blame, James interrupted, a flicker of determination sparking in his chest. It's my responsibility to make this work. Emma clapped her hands, catching everyone's attention, herself an embodiment of hope. Let us make a colorful banner. Everyone can add a note, like I did. We can hang it in here and remind us all of what we're building together. A few chuckles emerged, but they were tinged with warmth. James felt like each suggestion was a piece of the puzzle, slowly forming a picture of community he had almost forgotten. As they brainstormed more ideas, colorful images filled his mind: balloons, laughter, faces lit in joy, but doubt still lingered. Would they really trust him? Was it enough to inspire connection when anger and resentment had already taken root? He couldn't shake the echo of the veteraness words. This was uncharted territory for him. He had never wanted to show vulnerability, yet here it was, hanging in the air. As they wrapped up their discussion, excitement hummed around the diner. People were already envisioning the party, but James knew those plans were one thing, having trust was another. The grizzled vet stood, shuffling his chair. "Fine, I'll be there. But I'm watching you." His voice was gruff, but there was an undertone of challenge rather than disdain. "Fair enough," James replied, relief mingling with trepidation. Outside, the sun dipped low, casting long shadows through the diner's windows. Emma's laughter still echoed, carrying warmth that wrapped around him. But as he left, stepping into the evening air, he felt the weight of his new mission press heavily on his shoulders. Could he really bring them together? Even the eldest, set in his ways, a gesture from Emma tugged at him. She waved with her hand full of crumpled notes. "Let us make this happen." "Yeah," James muttered to himself, watching her bound back inside, leaving him standing on the threshold of possibility. The reality of change loomed ahead. Would the connecting threads ever be strong enough to bind a community, or would they fray before they started? In the air hung the potential for something great or for utter disappointment. As he turned back to the diner, his heart thrummed with anticipation, yet fear crept alongside it. What would it take to unite everyone and himself into something truly meaningful? James got into his truck, the engine's low rumble not quite drowning out the thoughts racing through his mind. He pulled out onto the main road, the lights of the diner fading in the rearview mirror. It was just a pancake party, right? But this felt monumental. If he could bridge the gap between these people, if he could unite them, would that really be enough to heal old wounds? He parked by the creek, a favorite spot of his from childhood. The sound of water rushing over stones filled the air, a soothing backdrop for his swirling thoughts. He stepped out, his boots crunching on gravel. The moon peeked through the trees, illuminating the path as he ambled toward the water's edge. He needed clarity. Looking down at the water, he saw his reflection. A mix of hope and uncertainty stared back. What if he failed? It felt selfish to want to prove himself. Maybe the community was better off without him stirring the pot. But then he thought of Emma, the way her smile lit up the room and how others were starting to share that light. "Okay, maybe I won't get everything right," he muttered to himself. "But I'll show up." With a deep breath, he sat on a rock, fingers tracing through the cool damp grass. He thought of the grizzled vet. The man was tough and worn, and James couldn't help but admire him for that. He was a living testament to struggle and survival. If James could gain his respect, maybe it would ripple through the rest of the community. His phone buzzed in his pocket, breaking through the evening's calm. It was a text from Emma, a simple message. "Are you okay? Let us grab coffee in the morning." A wave of warmth spread through him. He smiled, tapping a quick reply. "Yeah, all good. Excited for Saturday." And there it was, a reason to push through the fear. He thought about how every great story starts with one brave step. Isn't that how change happens? One small thing at a time. As he drove home, thoughts of the pancake party swirled in his mind: music, laughter, a banner filled with notes of hope. The thought brought a smile to his face. But behind every cheerful image, shadows of doubt still loomed. What if someone didn't want to participate? What if the party only highlighted the divisions? That night, sleep came reluctantly. Every time he drifted into dreams, he jolted awake, haunted by visions of a diner shrouded in silence. The thought gnawed at him. He needed a plan, something concrete to hold on to. The next morning, he woke energized, determined to make a difference. He laid out his own game plan of sorts. Starting with creating signs, messages of encouragement to put up around town. Emily could help. She had a way of getting people excited. The day sped by as he worked, energized by the thought of the party. With each sign he painted, he imagined the laughter filling the diner, warmth wrapping itself around everyone like a cozy blanket. But when he finally met Emma for coffee, he couldn't shake the nagging question. What if all of this is just a dream? What if it falls apart before it even gets a chance to start? Emma's eyes sparkled with determination. You can't think like that. No one knows what will happen until we try. You just need to believe in these people as much as you believe in yourself. As they sipped the steaming coffee, warmth spreading through him, he felt a surge of hope. Her words echoed like a pep talk. Maybe that was all they needed, a little push, a little faith. Maybe this whole thing was about embracing vulnerability and inviting others to do the same. But as they left the cafe, a dark cloud loomed overhead, casting a shadow on his thoughts. What if there were obstacles he couldn't predict? Just as doubt began to creep back in, his phone buzzed again, this time a group chat with community members discussing the pancake party. Excitement bubbled up as he read the enthusiastic comments. Tomorrow was the day. Something was about to shift, he could feel it. Could this moment be the turning point they all so desperately craved? The sun peeked over the horizon the next morning, painting the sky in soft hues of pink and gold. James woke up with a mix of excitement and anxiety churning in his stomach. Today was the day. He could practically hear the laughter and chatter of neighbors, the aroma of warm pancakes wafting through the air. He quickly showered and dressed, trying to shake off the nervous energy that threatened to consume him. As he stood in front of the mirror, he ran a hand through his hair, staring at the man in the glass. You got this, he whispered, a mantra of encouragement. It felt oddly comforting. With a scone in hand, he headed out to the diner, the heart of the town. As he walked, the streets were buzzing with activity. Neighbors were setting up tables, stringing lights, and posting signs with colorful messages of welcome. Each act felt like a small thread weaving the fabric of the community tighter together. Arriving at the diner, he was struck by the vibrant energy all around. Children laughed, running across the parking lot, and older folks exchanged friendly banter. He spotted Emma organizing a group of volunteers, her clipboard arms flying as she delegated tasks like a conductor leading a symphony. James, she called, her smile contagious. I'm glad you made it. We have so much to do before the guests arrive. Looks like a beautiful crowd, he replied, glancing around and feeling the familiar spark of hope igniting in him like a campfire catching wind. As they worked side by side, James started to notice a change in himself. This wasn't just a pancake party, it was a testament to resilience. With every flapjack flipped and smile shared, the walls that had divided them began to crumble. The day wore on, and joy wrapped around him like a warm blanket. Just when he thought everything was falling into place, the first backlash emerged. A small group stood off to the side, arms crossed and eyes narrowed, clearly not impressed by the gathering. James's heart sank. With every ounce of courage, he approached them. Hey, I'm just trying to bring everyone together. Would you like to join us? The silence stretched uncomfortably, and he could feel their resistance. But before they could respond, a little girl, a waitress in training just 7 years old, skipped over, holding a plate stacked high with fluffy pancakes. These are the best pancakes ever. You have to try them. James watched in awe as her infectious enthusiasm disarmed the tension. The group's stern expressions cracked, and even one of the men let out a reluctant chuckle. The girl beamed, completely unaware of the impact she was having. Okay, fine, one of the women grumbled, but with a smile pulling at her lips. I guess one pancake, one tea hurt. As the crowd slowly began to warm, James felt a rush of relief. Maybe this had been worth it after all. Maybe today would be the day they all began to heal. Yet, just as he entertained dreams of unity, the ominous rumble of thunder rolled overhead. Dark clouds began to overshadow the joyous scene, and people exchanged worried glances. Suddenly, his phone buzzed in his pocket, urgent and demanding. He pulled it out to read the text, his heart racing as he recognized the name. James, we need you back at the office. There is something important to discuss. He felt the world tilt on its axis. What could possibly be so urgent that it would pull him away from this moment? The laughter, the hope, the unity was within reach. He glanced back at the gathering, voices raised in laughter already rising to meet the sky. Could he really step away? Would everything he built start to crumble? There was no turning back now, he had to decide. And in that tense moment, as the clouds darkened and the storm approached, the future felt heavier than ever. The distant rumble of thunder echoed through the air, and James wrestled with his thoughts. The laughter around him felt like a fragile bubble, one wrong move could shatter it. He took a deep breath, trying to focus amid the chaos in his heart. James. Emma's voice cut through the din, her brows furrowed with concern as she approached. Is everything okay? He hesitated, glancing back at the colorful scene, a small boy trying to toss pancakes into the air, older folks sharing stories beneath a string of fairy lights. This was the moment he had dreamed of, a chance for the town to come together after so much tension. But the pull of responsibility was undeniable. I just got a message. They need me back at the office, he confessed, his voice heavy. It's important. Emma's expression softened. You can't leave now, not after everything we've worked for. This event, everyone's depending on you. I know. His voice trailed off as he felt the weight of her words. His heart was divided between his duty and his desire to see this celebration through. In that moment, a bright flash of lightning lit the sky, signaling an impending storm both in the heavens and within him. The crowd buzzed, thick with anticipation and joy, yet dark clouds loomed like a foreboding shadow. As James's gaze swept over the assembled townsfolk, he caught sight of the little girl who had so sweetly disrupted the standoff earlier. She was now trying to climb onto an overturned crate, her small legs swinging wildly. You guys gotta try these pancakes, she declared, grinning brightly. For a moment, all eyes turned toward her, and the adults exchanged amused glances. In that innocence, James saw the heart of this gathering. Maybe this event was more than just flipping pancakes. It represented something deeper, the very spirit of community. He stepped back, wrestling with his inner turmoil. Could he truly abandon this mission when it was just taking flight? But a ticker of worry rolled through his mind. The office held secrets he couldn't ignore. Decisions there could impact the livelihood of many in this town, the very folks laughing and enjoying breakfast right now. As he stepped away, the ground began to tremble beneath his feet, mirrors of the decisions he faced. Emma, what if by going back, I missed something amazing here? What if I could help make this the turning point we've all needed? Her eyes softened, glimmering with understanding. Then be the bridge, James. You're needed here too. Find a way to balance both. Keep your heart in what's happening, but don't forget your responsibilities either. The sound of rain began to patter softly against the pavement, growing louder, but there was a flicker of warmth in Emma's resolve. Maybe she was right. It was possible to nurture both worlds. All right, he said finally, determination blossoming in his chest. I'll stay for a bit longer. Let us see this through together. As James turned back toward the laughter and food, he felt a mixture of relief and hope mixed with the fear of the unknown. He picked up a spatula, joining Emma and the team, ready to flip more pancakes and share more smiles. But just as he began to feel the joy returning to the air, another text pinged urgently, startling him. James, if you're not here in 10 minutes, we're going without you. He stared at the screen, a sense of dread creeping back in. Did he even have 10 minutes? The stakes just got higher, and he realized he was standing at a crossroads. One path led toward connection and community, the other pulled him back into the shadows of obligation. The storm was not just overhead anymore, it was rising within him. Could he truly balance the tightrope of duty and desire, or would one world ultimately have to fall? As he was swept up in the hustle of neighborly chatter, a weight settled in his gut. He knew the clock was ticking and he was running out of time. James felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him like the storm clouds overhead. His heart raced, caught in an unrelenting bind between his sense of duty and the electric energy buzzing around him. The laughter, the joy, it all seemed so fragile. Yet it flourished, bursting with life in the face of uncertainty. He looked at Emma as she deftly flipped pancakes, her sincere smile lighting up the gray day. She was right. Perhaps he could find a way to do both. Just as he was warming to the idea, the little girl who had stolen the show earlier appeared again, this time with a plate stacked high with pancakes. She looked up at him, her eyes wide and sparkling. "Mr. James. Can you taste my special pancakes? Mom says they're great." "Of course, I can," he replied, kneeling down so their eyes were level. She beamed, and for a moment, all his worries melted away. He took a bite of the pancake she offered, and it was as sweet and light as the joy reflected on her face. "See? They're delicious." She clapped her small hands together, and James couldn't help but chuckle at her enthusiasm. In this moment, with the rain softly drumming against the canopy above them, everything felt right, but as the laughter swelled around him, another message lit up his phone, this time more frantic. "James, we can't hold off any longer. You need to make a decision." The phone buzzed in his hand, snapping him back to reality. His heart sank again. He wanted to stay, to immerse himself in this moment, but was that selfish? Would he be abandoning those depending on him at the office? "James?" Emma's voice tugged at him, her brow furrowing with concern again. "What is it?" "Honestly, it's nothing I can't handle. Just a tough choice," he said, forcing a smile. "Choosing to care for your community isn't a mistake, you know," she said softly. The sincerity in her voice hit him like a punch to the gut. "But you have to be true to yourself, too. What do you really want?" As he pondered her words, he caught sight of the townsfolk chatting animatedly, a few dancing lightly offbeat to the music drifting from the speakers. The aroma of pancakes wafted through the air, mingling with the scent of impending rain, and for a moment, it all felt so perfect. The little girl tugged at his sleeve again. "Mr. James, can we have a pancake contest? Everyone can join." A contest. A chance to create something delightful, something that could bind the community together even more. James's heart fluttered at the idea. This wasn't just a moment in time, it could be the turning point he desperately sought. "All right." He raised his voice, catching the attention of those around him. "Who's ready for a pancake contest?" Cheers erupted from the crowd, excitement crackling through the air. He felt the tension in his body release, replaced with the thrill of connection. Emma grinned at him, her eyes sparkling with admiration, but as it unfolded, James's phone pinged again. "Last warning. You have to make a choice. Now." The thunder rumbled ominously in the distance, mirroring the tension rising in his chest. He was at the edge of something big. But would he be able to navigate it? Just as he began to feel buoyed by the enthusiasm, he noticed a shadow at the back of the crowd, a figure watching him intently. His stomach dropped. Who was that? Did this stranger know the weight of the decisions he was juggling? As James's heart thudded erratically in his chest, he realized that today wasn't just about pancakes. It was about choice, connection, and perhaps, revelation, but was he ready for what was coming? And would he choose his community, even if it meant risking it all? The thunder rolled louder, aligning with the storm brewing not just above but in his core. What would he finally decide? The clock was ticking, and he had only moments left to make his choice. The cheers and laughter erupted around James, enveloping him in warmth. He looked around at the townsfolk eagerly exchanging ideas, their faces lighting up with excitement. There was something genuinely uplifting about the way they came together, united by the prospect of a simple pancake contest. As he watched the little girl bouncing on her heels, he felt the tension in his chest ease slightly, if only for a moment, but the storm still loomed above him. Each clap of thunder reminded him of the ultimatum waiting on the other end of his phone. "I can't let that ruin this," he whispered to himself. He shunted his phone into his pocket, trying to silence the nagging pressure gripping his heart. "Okay, everyone," he exclaimed, his voice rising above the noise. "Let's set some rules for the contest." He outlined a plan that involved multiple categories, from the fluffiest pancake to the most creative toppings. The excitement was contagious, adults chimed in with suggestions, and children interrupted with eager questions. As the crowd buzzed with anticipation, James felt the weight of decision pressing down. He admired Emma, who was busily rearranging pancake flippers and mixing bowls among the tables, transforming the park into a makeshift kitchen. Her laughter and the way she danced around, unfazed by the rain that began to fall, fed into the vibrant atmosphere that ignited his soul. Mr. James. The little girl tugged at his sleeve for what felt like the 100th time. Can I juggle pancakes too? Her request was innocent and earnest, an embodiment of childhood imagination. Absolutely. He leaned down to her level, his heart swelling with affection. Just promise to keep them off the ground. The crowd erupted into playful banter as they rallied behind her, their laughter soaring despite the worsening weather. As James looked around, he felt hope grow within him. Perhaps there was a way to weave together the community he cherished with the responsibilities that weighed heavily on his shoulders, that he began to realize that this pancake contest wasn't just a distraction, it was a chance to heal, to connect with a town that perhaps needed him just as much as he needed them. Suddenly, the shadow he had noticed earlier moved closer into view. The figure stepped into the light, a man, maybe in his 50s, with keen eyes and an impressive presence. He wore a coat even though the weather was mild. Just standing there, he felt out of place. James's heartbeat quickened. Who was he? Some sort of authority figure seeking him out? Doubt seeped into his mind, twisting the joy around him into knots of anxiety. James. Emma's call pierced through his thoughts. She waved him over, an excitement in her voice. You need to help us figure out the judges for the contest. He nodded, trying to redirect his focus away from the man who had captured his attention. As he turned, James felt a swell of determination wash over him. It wasn't just about amazing pancakes, it was about bringing a community together. Then someone shouted, Mr. James, can I be a judge? He was immediately hit with a rush of laughter and a dozen hands going up, each face beaming with enthusiasm. The darkness of his worry started to fade. He wanted to be part of this, to weave a future where they could all connect. Just as he turned back towards the crowd, ready to dive in fully, the man from the edge of the gathering stepped forward, making eye contact with him. The man's expression held something deep and compelling, as if he had a connection to James that he couldn't quite place. James, the stranger called out, his voice steady despite the growing wind. We need to talk. It's urgent. James's heart transitioned from warmth to ice. What was this man about to reveal? Did it matter more than the joyful mess of pancakes and laughter unfolding in front of him? Their gazes locked, and in that moment, the weight of a different kind of storm hung between them. What truth awaited him there? And would he have the courage to embrace it, or would he walk away, allowing the community to slip through his fingers? Just when he was beginning to grasp what truly mattered, James felt a chill ripple through him as the man stepped closer, the laughter and joy of the crowd fading into the background. The urgency in his voice was unsettling, a stark contrast to the lively atmosphere of the pancake contest. He could sense that the opposite end of happiness hovered somewhere behind the stranger's gaze, and it made him uneasy. Who are you? James managed to say, forcing his voice through the tightness in his throat. I'm someone who has information you need. But I can't say it here, the man replied, his eyes flicking towards the gathering. The unease settled deeper, making James hesitate. The community was busy, excited, engrossed. Did he really want to pull himself away from that joy to uncover a storm? Look, I appreciate the concern, but I'm a little busy right now, James replied, necessity ringing through his tone as he gestured toward Emma and the other townsfolk, who were now gleefully arguing over pancake toppings and who would get the first flip. The man's expression softened. I understand. But this is important. You don't really know what's waiting for you. The words cut through James like a chilled gust of wind. He felt the warmth he had begun to embrace slip away. Was there really danger lurking just out of sight? Is it about my father? James asked, the weight of the world creeping back in. Just speaking the words felt like dragging rocks across the surface of his heart. The man's eyes darkened, and he nodded slowly. What do you know? James pressed, his heart racing. The innocence of the pancake contest now felt like a cloak, one that could be stripped off by the cold hands of reality at any moment. I can't say everything here, but your father he's involved in something much bigger than you think. Something that could threaten the town, your future. He paused, as if weighing his words carefully. Your role in all of this is crucial. What do you mean? The weight of confusion mixed with anger bored into James's gut. His father had always been enigmatic, but threats to the town? Against everything he cared about? I'll explain everything, but not here, the man insisted, glancing nervously at the bustling crowd. Meet me in the parking lot in 10 minutes. James's mind raced. Should he walk away from this joyous gathering, possibly forever? Yet, what was at stake felt ominously heavier than pancakes and laughter. As a clap of thunder rumbled in the distance, he turned toward the laughter of children, the joy that filled his heart, and he felt himself torn. Could he remain locked in the chaos of his father's shadow while everyone else moved on? This decision weighed heavily now, as if he were balancing on the edge of a cliff. With determination, he looked back at the man. Fine. In 10 minutes. He stepped away before he could lose his nerve, feeling the warmth of the crowd fade further as he approached Emma, who was in the midst of organizing pancake races. James. She called, a smile beaming from her face as she pointed to a giant stack of pancakes arranged like a tower. Look at this. What do you think? Should we have a pancake pyramid competition? It was hard not to smile at her enthusiasm. It pulled at the corners of his heart, reminding him why he was here in the first place. He wanted to be part of this, to help make this community thrive. I think that sounds amazing, James replied, forcing cheer into his tone even as his mind raced with the stranger's words. The gathering continued around him, laughter replacing the silence that had settled in his chest. But amid this, a doubt lingered like a cloud overhead, promising a storm. Wouldn't he hold off forever? As the contest got underway, with children lining up to compete in the first round, James couldn't help but glance towards the parking lot. The anticipation felt unbearable. What awaited him there, and could it really change everything he knew? Emma's laugh broke through his thoughts as she handed him a spatula. Come on, Mr. James. What's a pancake contest without the fearless leader joining in? James inhaled deeply, trying to push the anxiety away. For now, he would immerse himself in the joy, but that truth, lurking just outside the laughter, was ready to pounce. And he would have to face it soon. The timer on a nearby grill clicked to life, and James caught Emma's eye, momentarily forgetting the storm threatening the edges of his reality. But the thought lingered hidden beneath the festivities. Something was coming. Unseen. Uninvited. What would it reveal? Would he be ready when it crashed down? As the pancake contest kicked into high gear, laughter floated through the air, intermingling with the smell of syrup and batter. James felt the buoyancy of the moment, ignited by Emma's energy. Kids were stacking pancakes into towers, other adults were debating the merits of blueberry versus chocolate chip, and for now, everything felt perfect. Yet in the back of his mind, the man's words replayed like a haunting melody, a reminder of the urgency waiting for him. Every cheerful cheer stirred a knot in his stomach, a reminder he couldn't shake off. Did he dare step away from this moment of connection to confront the shadows of his past? Emma looked at him, her small face lighting up as she exclaimed, Mr. James, you have to help me judge the pancake pyramid. The innocent excitement in her voice pulled at his heart. Of course, he replied, forcing a smile. But even as he joined her in the judging process, he couldn't ignore how the weight of the stranger's revelation pulled at him like a tide. As the sun peeked out from behind dark clouds, casting a warm glow over the scene, James felt a flicker of hope. The moment reminded him of Emma's words, echoing in his mind. Choosing to care for your community isn't a mistake. Look. Emma said, pointing to a group of kids who had turned their pancake catching into an impromptu dance. Each child was flinging pancakes in the air, laughter spilling out as pancakes fluttered down like oversized leaves. Let us join them. James called out, swept up in the moment. They ran to the group, where he felt the edges of worry blur away, and the joy of community surged in his heart. But then came a flash of lightning, slicing through the blue sky and sending sharp crackles of thunder pounding through the air. People paused, eyes flicking towards the sky, before laughter whooshed back in, buoying them even higher. James knew it wouldn't be long before the clouds gathered, but for now, the laughter drowned out the thunder. As they resumed their pancake contest, James felt the tug of his phone once again. He retreated to the side, trying to drown out the noise, the cheer, and the impending storm that whispered secrets. Pulsing against his hip was the reminder of unfinished business. "Hey, James." It was Emma again, climbing on her tiptoes. "You okay? The contest needs our fearless leader." "Just a moment," he replied briskly. A swell of relief washed over him as he quieted the storm in his heart. He took a deep breath, taking in the chaotic beauty of this moment, where happiness came alive through children's laughter and shared hope. Then, remembering his promise to confront the unknown, he turned to Emma with resolve. "I need to step away for a moment," he said, the urgency in his voice undeniable. "I'll be back soon." Her eyes widened, concern creeping in. "But what about the contest? What if something happens?" Taking Emma's hands in his own, he searched her eyes. "No matter what, this community is strong. You're all capable of bringing the joy together." An encouraging smile bloomed on Emma's face as she nodded, understanding his struggle. "Okay. Just come back soon." James stepped out toward the parking lot, the rain beginning to fall directly overhead. Each step felt heavy, as uncertainty loomed in the space between joy and obligation. He spotted the man, still standing near the edge of the diner's parking lot, tension palpable in the air. "Have you thought this through?" the stranger asked as James approached. "I want to know what you're talking about," James answered, heart pounding. "Everything. Start from the beginning." The man hesitated but then nodded, leading him to a quieter corner. "Your father." "Stop," James interjected, his voice laced with anger. "I'm tired of being held under his shadow. I want to know what he has done, and why it matters to my life now. You'll understand once I explain. Your father's wealth comes from something unethical, plans you're unaware of that affect not only you but everyone in this town," the man revealed, every word scratched at the surface of James's anger. "Why didn't he tell me?" "Because he knew you might choose differently. He kept you insulated from his dealings, wanting to keep you away from risk." James struggled to breathe as the weight of those words hit him. It wasn't just about pancakes or a community, it was about who he wanted to be beyond the gilded cage his father built. "But what do I do?" he asked, desperation filling his chest. "You need to choose sides, James. Decide if you'll carry on the legacy or break free from it," the man stated, watching him intently. James felt his heart race as the realization settled in like the warm glow of sun after the storm. He didn't need to replicate his father's choices. He was capable of weaving a different legacy through connection and community. "I choose my community," he declared, voice steady. "It ends here. I want to help them, not hold them back." As the words left his mouth, a wave of realization washed over him. Those vibrant spirits outside deserved more than a symbol of wealth, they needed someone who genuinely wanted to lift them up. "Good," the man replied, stepping back as if the weight was finally lifted from his shoulders. "Then you know where your heart lies. Just remember, it won't be easy." James nodded, knowing he would face whatever difficulties lay ahead. He turned toward the laughter drifting from the diner, feeling grounded. As he stepped back outside, the rain began to pour, and he sprinted back into the welcoming chaos, laughter ringing in the chilly air. Emma saw him first, rushing to his side, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "Judging without you was totally boring," she declared, motioning him deeper into the sea of plates and joy. A smile stretched across James's face, feeling the heaviness crumble. "Let us get back to making memories," he said, grabbing a spatula and taking his place alongside her. He knew the battle ahead wasn't just within the walls of the diner or against the shadows of his father's legacy. It would be with himself, choosing to move forward, allowing his heart to guide him. The storm may have rumbled, but in that moment, inside the diner, the warmth of connection thrived, leaving no room for fear. The kindness everyone poured out resonated within him. They were not just crowding around pancakes, they were shaping a future, and as laughter carried through the air, James felt hope surge stronger than any storm. "What's next, Mr. James?" Emma asked, laughing as she held up the next plate of pancakes. He thought for a moment, something burning bright within him. how about we start with a family meal? Everyone shares their stories, who they are and why this community matters, he suggested. Emma beamed, spinning back to the crowd, excitement bubbling over. Come on everyone. We're having a family story time. Who's in? And as the crowd echoed back with cheers, James couldn't help but feel the weight of both uncertainty and promise lift, finding solace in each moment they built together. With every plate passed, a connection was formed, stitching the fabric of history richer than any dollar could buy. And standing there, surrounded by a family of choice, he felt the burden lift, replaced with pride in the path they were carving out together. This, he thought, was what it meant to truly belong. Now, if you felt the magic of this story, you need to subscribe to the channel immediately so you don't miss any inspiring transformations. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your love. Your reaction matters, so comment down below with your feelings about the ending. Let's hear your thoughts. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this transformation too. This is the moment to show your support.